fuck. I knew it. I'm already in the thing, aren't I?
Hey everyone, I'm Kyle, your host for today's video. Westworld Season 3 is here and poised to take us in a completely new direction and into a future with new endless possibilities. I'm very excited to see where this new direction takes us, as we have to ask the big questions of, is humanity embodied by what we've seen in the parks, and is free will an illusion? I thought that for my first ever Westworld video on the channel, it would be fitting if we analyzed the after credit scene where the Man in Black William is being tested for fidelity. William had quite the arc in Season 2, including the cornerstone moment where he shot and killed his own daughter Emily, shocking Westworld fans around the world. So many of us defaulted to the no, she's not the real Emily, she's actually a host. However, that's not the case. The real Emily is dead, cementing this as William's cornerstone moment. However, if we reset to the after credit scene in the Season 2 finale, it raises even more questions. What exactly is going on here? William shot Emily and killed her for real in the parks, and if this is the far future like the showrunners are suggesting, then human William will have died, meaning that this version of William is a host or something else entirely. Emily, or whoever is in her host shell, is performing a fidelity test on William in the far future. But showrunner Lisa Joy confirmed the William we saw in Season 2, at least for the majority of it, was in the same timeline as everyone else. One thing this scene confirms is the world is much different than the one we saw in the past, and something major has occurred as much of William's world is destroyed. It's really interesting because Jonathan Nolan suggests the after credit scene is the endpoint of a new AI race. He says, "We'd always said with this story we want to consider the beginning, middle, and end of the emergence of a new form of life on Earth, and we managed to cover a lot of those bases in this season." Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan originally had a contract to do 5 seasons of Westworld, and have said on the record that they would at least like to do one more after Season 3. I guess the first 2 seasons can be seen as a beginning or first act if we're mapping out the beginning, middle, and end of the story. Of course, each season will have its own unique questions to pose and its own unique answers, but this after credit flash forward scene changes everything and highlights the importance of William's role in answering these big questions. I've personally always felt a stronger pull towards William arc than the other characters for a few different reasons, but largely because of what we saw, in my opinion, what is the best episode of the series, episode 4 of Season 2, The Riddles of the Sphinx. The entire premise of Season 2 presented us with the answer that the stakes are now real, not only for humans, but that the hosts die for real too. Some of our favorite characters are probably scrapped after the catastrophe we witnessed in the Season 2 finale. But in Riddles of the Sphinx, William perhaps has his most important scene of the series other than his cornerstone moment of killing his daughter Emily. In his scene with Lawrence and Major Craddock, he not only saves Lawrence's wife this time instead of killing her, creating a deviation from his previous actions, but he also answers the riddle presented in his speech about death. The scene is beautifully layered with flashbacks to the suicide of his own wife, highlighting his suffering and his loss. Ramin Djawadi's score enhances the awakening empathy William experiences in this scene with his leitmotifs as well. It signals to the audience that William understands his mistakes, even though he may be doomed to make more mistakes in the future. It's beautiful because this is something that we've rarely seen outside of his nihilistic worldview and actions. He spent decades in the park enjoying playing the villain, but here, there's something much deeper happening. It's self-reflection, and it's brutally honest. This all happens after William asks a question to Major Craddock that if he thinks death favors him. And I believe the true riddle of this episode and answer is presented in William's speech to Craddock. You think death favors you, that it brought you back, but death's decisions are final. It's only the living, they're a new constant, they waver, they don't always know who they are, and they don't always know what they want. Death is always true. You haven't known a thing in all your life. You think you know death, but you don't. You didn't recognize him sitting across from you this whole time. The truth is, even though he's saying this to Major Craddock, he knows that Craddock can't truly comprehend what he's personally experienced as a human, in the finality of death. William is also speaking about himself here, and it's him that is wavering, reflecting on his previous actions, knowing that going to Westworld for all of these pilgrimages ultimately resulted in the fractured relationship with his family and his wife's suicide. It's true, these violent delights have violent ends. Look at what happened in Romeo and Juliet. There was no happy ending. And I suspect this is a hint that we will see the same thing for a finale in Westworld when we reach its endpoint. But I believe that what we're seeing here is in the reference to what William said. He wants to prove that humans have a fucking choice. I personally believe that seasons 1 and 2 are the real fidelity test for William, because death changes people. The memory of the water falling from the chandelier onto the table created the deviation that led to him saving Lawrence's wife's life in the Riddles of the Sphinx. And I believe while even more suffering is coming for William, there is still hope for his redemption. I believe that this is the case because we heard them say that this one is irredeemable, referencing William's host while they were passing through the forge. And we already saw the cognitive plateau that James Delos' host reached when William was testing him for fidelity. So I have a sneaking suspicion the William that we see in the far future with host Emily perhaps is a human-host hybrid. Now, I do want to say that it's possible that this is Dolores torturing William in this scene, kind of rubbing it in his face for the way that he treated her. However, I believe that William holds the key and the best chance at stopping Dolores and the hosts from winning the coming war between AI and humans. I do believe we will get more of a glimpse of William's world in the far future that was previewed in the after credit scene, and this scene is super important, otherwise they wouldn't have included it at all at the very end of season 2. So hopefully season 3, in whatever form we get William, human or host, his timeline and story will help us understand what was truly going on in the future. Also, I know it's pretty crazy times out there with what's going on in the world, so I hope that all of you are staying safe, and I hope in some sort of small way I can help out, like reduce your anxiety, help you stay distracted, help you laugh, help you have fun, and really just overall help you feel positive vibes. It's a super crazy time, but I think it's also a great time to come together and, discuss awesome shows like Westworld and just have a good time. So once again, thanks for watching this video. Stay safe, and I'll see you all in the episode review tomorrow.